Ahoy, and quali tonali. This is Admiral. There's a long history of brainstorming buffs for the Jaguar Warrior, the spotted Aztec unique unit that was rarely spotted in-game. With the new patch, and at long last, the developers have seemingly found the legendary Temple of Tlaloc, and empowered the Jaguar Warrior in a couple new ways.
We have found a hidden temple to Tlaloc, the rain god. The magicians say that if we bring 10 Jaguar warriors to this location, we will be rewarded.
These improvements will surely help take this cool cat off the endangered species list, and just in time to be joined by another feline-themed unit that also just so happens to have a promotion ability.
This is getting out of hand. Now there are two of them.
The massive buffs for this unit has understandably raised some eyebrows, although I am glad that the developers specifically avoided making them cheaper, and sidestepped what I thought was the peculiar suggestion of giving this anti-infantry unit an anti-cavalry bonus as well. Although instead, they gave the Jaguar an anti-everything bonus by boosting its melee attack, and gave it a promotion ability that was a semi-common proposal, and likely inspired by a similar ability from AoE2. So let's try to get a sense for how effective this unit is in practice. To start off, the Jaguar Warrior isn't any more accessible than it's ever been, so it's still subject to the same castle and cost bottleneck as usual, and will now be competing with an improved and more accessible militia line, and even an Eagle Warrior line with a slightly reduced early training time. But if you're able to get a castle up and splurge on Jaguars, here's a rundown of how they do versus some other Castle Age units. The non-elite Jaguar Warrior actually performs about the same as before versus infantry, as it has lost 5 of its previous anti-infantry bonus, in exchange for the more universal +5 melee attack. As such, Jaguar Warriors are still easily able to take care of any enemy longswordsmen you encounter as a counter to your Eagle Warriors. The difference is how well they do versus other units, and if they can engage them, Jaguar Warriors can now easily defeat equal resources worth of generic knights. They're not as cost effective as pikemen, but are actually not that far behind, on top of being far better generalists. Of course, they are still countered by crossbowmen and scorpions, but can take those enemies down faster if they get in close, now needing 3 hits for either one instead of 4. The promotion mechanic works by giving them a permanent +1 damage boost, up to 4, for every time they kill an enemy military unit, although this doesn't apply to enemy civilians, or even to slaying wild jaguars. The mechanic is also 1-to-1, meaning it only applies to the unit that dealt the final blow, so there are no shared promotions for an assist.
That one counts as mine!
But the vanquishing Jaguars do get a nice little glow up when they defeat an enemy, and I think it might be interesting if, once they had reached their limit of 4, they would retain a permanent glow like a hero unit, but a little more subtle. In any case, they do retain any combat boosts they've earned when you research the Elite upgrade, so it's nice that the devs were thinking ahead on that one. It's hard to say exactly how useful this promotion mechanic will be in practice, since against a player using appropriate counter units, it's going to be difficult to keep your Jags alive for multiple promotions, notwithstanding their melee prowess. But if you end up in a trash war against Turks, I'd say your odds of keeping them alive for promotion are good. Mostly this just looks like a bit of flavor to give a bit more of an edge to the already beyond razor-sharp bladed Makwawit of the Jaguar Warrior, and to make it even more rewarding to heal up your units after a fight, as even a peppering of a few seasoned veterans with extra attack is going to come in handy. I also think that this change will add a lot of enjoyment to scenario or campaign gameplay featuring the Aztecs, as well as to single-player skirmishes, as you have more time and opportunity there to save your units and build up an elite core of experienced warriors, as opposed to what is often the meat grinder of continuous combat in multiplayer games. With this mechanic in Castle Age alone, while difficult, you can get your Jaguar Warriors up to a beastly 21 attack. The Elite Jaguar Warrior, on top of another impressive glow-up and wardrobe upgrade, is more ferocious still, with a baseline attack of 19, which rises to 23 with Blast Furnace researched, and 27 with Garland Wars, and to 31 if you're able to defeat 4 enemy combatants.
These warriors shall receive the blessing of the Rain God, and will fight with the skill of 10 normal men.
Even without the promotion boost, these fully upgraded warriors can decisively beat equal resources worth of generic paladins, and can even go toe-to-toe with top-tier paladins with powerful bonuses. And of course, they absolutely demolish most Imperial Age infantry, so again, it's not so much that they've lost their anti-infantry focus, as gained an anti-everything specialty. So I won't be surprised if the unit gets toned down in a future patch. But there's no time like the present to try it out if you're an Aztecs fan. The new Jaguar Warrior is reminiscent of the Urumi Swordsman, which on release was thought by many to be absolutely broken due to how effectively it countered enemy units in a melee, although it turned out to be less menacing in practice due to how effectively it was countered by ranged units. So there's an echo of that situation that needs to play out before I jump on a bandwagon and say that the unit needs a nerf, although it well may, as the Jaguar Warrior does have the advantage of more hit points and pierce armor than the original Urumi. But we'll wait for the data to come in before insisting on any kind of change.
We will watch your career with great interest.
From a design standpoint, I do find the massive damage boost a little odd, and it wouldn't have been my first choice. But I'll give the unit a fair shake, and I do absolutely respect that with this update, the devs are really going out of their way to address and compensate for the situational nature of the unit that people have been talking about for many years. And this melee powerhouse unit should add a lot to the Aztecs' lackluster late game, and synergize well with other Aztec options in Atlath skirmishers, powerful monks, and decent siege units including siege onagers. Speaking of siege, and as part of the Jaguar's new anti-everything melee identity, they are now extremely proficient at taking down buildings, and 4 fully upgraded elite Jaguar warriors without any combat promotion boost can now take down an Imperial Age barracks about as quickly as a siege ram with siege engineers. So while this may not be a go-to meta unit like archers or eagle warriors, its hard-hitting attack and promotion scaling will surely make it a lot more rewarding to mix into almost any composition with the Aztecs. The only further buff that I can recommend at this point is giving the unit, and the rest of the civilization, their true language, Nahuatl. So those are some of my thoughts on the Jaguar Warrior, but what do you think? Do the new changes seem excessive? Or are you looking forward to waging your own Garland Wars with the Jaguar Warrior in campaigns or multiplayer? Let me know your thoughts as well as any interesting experiences you may have had so far playing as or against them. That's all for today, and thanks for watching. This has been me judging the jacked, jazzed up, juiced up Jaguars, their jagged clubs, and jaw-dropping damage. Till next time.